Got a bad feeling about this, guys. This whole thing with Iran, this whole situation, Brady Ramsey actually made a video about this morning. I'm on the level of his concern over this whole Iran thing right now. There's two main fronts to this whole Iran issue right now. One is their constant trying to get nuclear power, nuclear weapons, enriching uranium, what have you, all that shit, and then being defiant against the world, saying, no, 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 please don't do it, we don't like you and your ways, we feel you'll do bad things with it, and all that jazz. And another front to this is the whole Iran supplying arms to the Houthi rebels in Yemen that are taking that country over right now, and the UN Security Council voting to have a blockade or an embargo between Iran and Yemen to make sure that the rebels don't get more weapons from Iran. And what that is all adding up to is just a mix of instability in that region that is going to help propel war and a whole bunch of other things that are going to come against Iran not looking good in this situation. But there's a lot of angles that aren't really being covered all that much, and I just want to offer my 2 cents because I feel America is getting just back into that cyclical war monster of let's go out and get that war machine going again, and frankly I'm tired of that shit. I'm really tired of that shit, and I'm tired of America having to be the one that does it. Going back to the whole Security Council thing that I mentioned a minute ago, the UN Security Council consists of 15 members. 5 are permanent members. The US, the UK, Russia, France, who am I forgetting? Russia, UK, France, China are the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, and then there's 10 members that are elected on 2-year terms. They range from, higher GDP nations to lower GDP nations, just to give, a proper representation of world demographic in the UN Security Council vote. They voted, of the 15 members, 14 voted on having an embargo carried out between Iran and Yemen to stop the import of Iranian weapons to the Houthi rebels in Yemen that are taking the nation over. And 1 country abstained, Russia, big surprise. 14-0, this vote was. 14-0. So, what happens from there? The U.S. goes ahead and sends warships over to the region. We got the USS Roosevelt going over there, and they're going to help enforce that embargo between Iran and Yemen. America! America, right? I see this as, hold on a second, wait a second, whoa, 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 whoa. Why does it have to be the American ships that go over there and enforce this embargo? Where is that written? Now, granted, I know right away America's going, we'll go, we'll go. The American war machine's going, we volunteer. Because, I mean, who would really want to volunteer for this? But the thing that I have a problem with this is one, it's America policing the world again, and it's America being the one that is going to be seen in this region as, the big war monster showing up again. It's, oh, the damn Americans are showing up again. But the world is in favor of this embargo, and to enact this embargo, you have to have someone step in between the 2 parties and say, stop. And America is the one that is now being that party that's stepping in between the Yemen and Iran weapons exchange. Do you think the people in the region are going to say, like, oh, damn China for approving this vote, damn France and the UK for approving this embargo? No, they're just going to blame the Americans, because they're only going to see the American warships there. It's going to be the Americans that get all the heat from this. It's like, where is this written that it has to be America that goes in there and enforces this embargo? What? Because America is the most sophisticated, advanced military, we have to be the ones that go over there and intercede with this? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm tired of America being the world police force when the world sentiment is against what is going on in between Iran and these Houthi rebels in Yemen. I don't see any France or UK or Chinese or, well, Russia abstained from the vote, Chinese warships going over there. It's the Americans. It's the USS Roosevelt that's there right now enforcing this embargo. Unbelievable. I just see this, and I again see this, and I've mentioned stuff like this before. Regions have to solve their own region's problems. And right now, Saudi Arabia, one of the strongest nations in this region, is solving this problem. They are carrying out airstrikes against the Houthi rebels in Yemen right now. There was just a Scud missile factory that was bombed, which actually used American intelligence. America's basically saying, okay, well, Saudi Arabia, you can carry out the attacks, but here's the coordinates. You might want to, you know, send a bomb this way, because that's where the rebels are having a bomb factory being made. Now, I get it, that's America intervening in it from that way, but it's Saudi Arabia that carries out the strikes to help create and help, in their minds, get more stability in the region, because the more of these warring factions that take over these nations by the rebel forces that oust the reigning powers and all that creates instability in the region. And frankly, if Saudi Arabia wants to be the one that carries out airstrikes, I have no problem with that, because it's in Saudi Arabia's best interests to stop more of these nations get taken over by these radical groups set on bloodlust and rage and all sorts of other strife and all this blah blah blah. So again, why is it America being the ones that send these warships over? I mean, it's like, why can't this region just discipline itself? Saudi Arabia should be like, we agree with this embargo, we'll send ships over there right now. No, America's like, oh no, we got the big war monster machine. We'll take care of the embargo enforcement. Don't worry, Saudi Arabia, you sit over there and send missiles. We'll send actual troops in between the two parties. And then there's this whole thing with the Iranians wanting to get either enrich uranium, nuclear resources, all that shit, that they're defiantly going against world sentiment, and they're constantly pursuing nuclear resources right now. And this whole thing is something where I'm at the point where let them try it. Let them try it. I mean, what are we going to do? The only thing you can do to stop them completely, to stop Iran from completely halting any sort of ability or effort to enrich uranium, create nuclear weapons, do whatever, the only way you can completely stop them is an all-out invasion of the country. Do we really want to do that? I mean, we've tried numerous embargoes and whatnot against North Korea. It hasn't stopped their pursuit of nuclear weapons one bit. And they supposedly have nuclear weapons. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you about the embargoes and whatnot? The only way to stop them completely is an all-out invasion. Are we really ready to invade another Arab nation right now? Do we really want to? Like, oh, the world sentiment though, you know, well, they could use those nuclear weapons. You won't be saying that if they bring a nuclear bomb over to America. The way I look at it is, even if we do invade Iran, take it over, shut down their nuclear resources, I still won't feel completely safe from rogue terrorists using nuclear weapons on America. There's still a number of unaccounted weapons, unaccounted nuclear weapons from the diffusion of the Cold War states, the old Soviet Union states. There's a number of bombs that are unaccounted for, because once the Soviet Union dissolved, the generals that were in charge of those areas were like, okay, who wants to be the highest bidder? And these weapons became unaccounted for. Where are they? Anyway, for the point that, you know, there was like a Bush doctrine, there should be an Obama doctrine right now that says, all right, Iran, we don't care. Go ahead and try and make a nuclear weapon, but I'll tell you what, the second one terrorist nation, a terrorist group, whatever, uses a nuclear weapon on anyone in the Western world, be it Europe or Israel, I don't even care if you want to bomb Saudi Arabia back because you don't like them. The second a nuclear weapon is used by any terrorist group, it's game over. There's no waiting for the world's sentiment. Bombs are dropping on Tehran, period. Let them try. And see, that's the thing. The first time that a terrorist uses a nuclear weapon, it will be the last time. You think Israel's going to sit tight and be like, all right, well, let's wait for the American opinion on this before we launch missiles back at Tehran right now? Like, it'll be game over. And let them try and do it. The same with North Korea. Let them try and do it. Let them even try and launch a missile anywhere at either China, the US, Japan, anything like that. Let them try it. I know you're going to be like, oh, well, yo, what if thousands of people die, blah, blah, blah. Then it'll just be open validity to say we are just and absolutely justified in intervening there. Because right now, suspicion of usage, that's really not enough for me. That's really not enough for me to go into another Arab nation and take it completely over. And again, I'm tired of being the American world police force. I'm tired of us sending our ships over to enforce embargoes that the world approved of. I'm tired of, frankly, seeing American soldiers die. Anyway, just my 2 cents on this. I know people may be saying like, "Oh, you're just so heartless. You want terrorists to have nuclear weapons." That's basically the summary of this video. You want terrorists to have nuclear weapons that they can use against anyone they so choose. Well, it's a bit hypocritical sitting here as an American to say like, "Oh, well, you know, other nations shouldn't be able to use nuclear weapons because my country, last I checked, did use 2 nuclear weapons." Now, granted, greatly different circumstances because America wasn't using nuclear weapons to antagonize war. They were using it to end the war in the Pacific. Because frankly, if the warring between America and Japan went on, there'd be millions of more lives lost if that went on for years on end. If America had to go into an all-out invasion of Tokyo, that would have been bloody, horrific, epic carnage. And frankly, those 2 nuclear weapons America used saved lives. 1 nuclear weapon used by a terrorist, it's game over. It's game over. There's no way that the world could ever take a chance on having another nuclear weapon used. So, anyway, just my 2 cents on all this. I don't know, I might have rambled on and double-stepped on points and whatnot, but I just feel a lot of people aren't following what is really going on with Iran right now, or they don't care. It's out of sight, out of mind. Oh, it's all the way over there. It's like, I don't know, where is it? It's like north of Australia or something. Like, people probably couldn't even point out Iran on a map in America. But it is something to be really concerned about right now because it could be more American lives in the form of soldiers mainly that are going to be going over there, enforcing these embargoes and getting caught in someone else's problem, some other region's problem. Again, this is something that frankly Saudi Arabia should be taking care of. They have the greatest interest in keeping these nations under control in the Middle East. So why not let them keep running bombing runs in Yemen like they're doing right now? Again, I wish there was no bombs being dropped at all, but if there has to be intervention that takes place, let Saudi Arabia do it. Screw all this shit with America being the world police and them stepping in between 2 other nations' problems. Anyway, have a good day, everyone.